Boruto 2 Blue Vortex actually cooked, people. We finally got the answer as to why Sumire and Sarada can remember the truth that Boruto is not the enemy. But that's not all. Boruto is about to level up his power once again, as he is going to receive the strongest sword to ever exist in history.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
He has handed over the blueprint to Sumire to upgrade Sasuke's sword so that he can take on Jura and save the world. Like, we can't forget that Boruto is carrying a death sentence. My man has over 20 death flags in only bloody 27 chapters. Bruh made a deal with Momoshiki. When he borrows that power, he gets one step closer to losing his body forever. And Boruto hasn't told anyone about it because he doesn't care what happens to him as long as he protects the people he loves. Meanwhile, his bro Kawaki is going down the exact same path. He wakes up every day with fresh hatred, willing to burn his own body to ash if it means erasing every last Otsutsuki from existence. He tells Amado to upgrade his power once again, and it's a price that he's willing to pay without hesitation. So without further ado, it's tradition around here, let's cue the intro. Vortex chapter 27 begins with Demon threatening to break Sarada and Sumire's chicken necks like they're little toys. But then he releases them. This was just a warning to let them know that he is truly the strongest like he claims to be. That they are insects, irrelevant, powerless, weak nobodies, and pretty much trash. Okay, I'm pushing it to the edge. But basically, those Shibai Otsutsuki God genetics, they're working overtime. Sarada then finds herself frozen and useless in front of Demon. She knows she can't do anything against him. But you know, the apple doesn't fall that far from the tree, you know what I'm saying? So then she asks, why not just kill us, take us out of the story, end our character development? But that's when Eida steps in, and we finally get the truth about Omnipotence. The community already predicted it on Anime Balls Deep, so it's confirmed now. Give yourselves a round of applause. Sarada and Sumire resisted Omnipotence because of their genuine feelings for Boruto, who is now considered an Otsutsuki. But that explanation alone wasn't enough, because if it was just about love, then half of Boruto's harem would be immune too, right? Like, let's be honest, this guy has Riz levels beyond any other character. He has random NPC girls blushing at him in the street like it's a bloody slice of life harem anime where he can get any punani he wants.
It should have been me!
So there's a second condition at play. Eida reveals she subconsciously created an exception rule inside her own Shinjutsu. When Omnipotence rewrote reality, there were two people she didn't want to lose. People she saw as real friends, which are Sarada and Sumire. She refers back to their first real moment together. That girls' night chapter where Sarada told Eida that they should try to be friends. That was the first time someone treated Eida like a person and not a weapon. So for someone who never knew what real love or connection felt like, that moment changed everything. Eida admits she wanted them to stay by her side. She didn't want a world where both of them were forced to love her or fear her. She wanted friends who stayed with her because they chose to. And that's why they remember Boruto whilst the rest of the world forgot. Eida even says that she trusts them, so if they ever decide she's a threat and they decide to kill her one day, she'd accept it happily. But that's only half the story, because the truth is, this friendship was also a mission. Remember that Shikamaru secretly ordered Sarada and Sumire to stay close to Eida because she was the most dangerous person alive and someone needed to monitor her from the inside. He even told them that they may be the ones that have to kill her in the end. So this looks like a huge death flag, right? Well, Not really. Sarada is inspired by Naruto, goddammit, and she wants to be a Hokage just like him. She would do anything to avoid such a cost for peace. And as a result, Sarada grabs Sumire and hugs Eida genuinely with affection, much like how Naruto did with Kawaki when he got PTSD in Ino's shop, for example. The three girls then hug it out in this wholesome moment where Sarada declares it's their way of showing resolve. They don't mind risking their lives as it's the best kind of thrill. Now, what the hell does that mean? Well, basically what they're trying to say is that that's what it truly means to be a shinobi, to choose a difficult mission knowing the cost and still move forward. It shows how these two girls are different from characters like Kawaki. Kawaki thinks peace must come through control and sacrifice, but Sarada and Sumire believe that peace should come through trust and choice, even if it hurts. That's why she acts just like Naruto. She leads with her heart and acknowledges that she'd rather follow that kind of path than live in fear. Like, I know some of you read this chapter, you saw the hug scene and you thought, hey bruh, ain't no way this turned into a K-drama, what the hell is this bullshit? But come on, this is actually important writing fitting the theme of the cycle of love. Meanwhile, Kashin Koji finally drops intel on Mamushi, the Shinju who would wipe everyone if they slip up even once. His ability isn't shadow clone tricks, it's way beyond that and way too OP. Shadow clones divide your chakra and weaken you the more you make them, but Mamushi has no limit. He can split into hundreds or even thousands of bodies, and each one is real. There's no chakra drop, no durability loss, and every clone is at full power. The closest comparison you can make is twice from My Hero Academia. Like, the reason Hawks had to delete that man before the war started is because the heroes would have lost otherwise. But Mamushi, he does have a weakness. The more he multiplies, the dumber he gets. His intelligence drops and his battle strategy collapses, where his pain tolerance goes down. In other words, too many clones turn him from a calculating monster into a wild animal acting purely on instinct. That is his only opening. Boruto has to force him into that over multiplication state around 20 to 30 clones where he becomes predictable enough to kill, because Koji makes it clear Mamushi must be killed in one hit. If even one clone survives, it's over. And there's another condition: they have to destroy both his Rinnegan eyes. If they don't, he can just keep splitting. So Team Boruto are in a catch-22. If they take out one clone's eyes too early, he'll stop replicating and regain his full intelligence, making him even more powerful. Shikamaru then hits Koji with the smartest question of the chapter: what if he leaves a clone behind in the Divine Tree dimension? But Koji, he already thought of that. He says Mamushi's bodies move like a swarm. They're driven to regroup and merge with the majority, almost like ants or bees in nature. So even if one body is left behind, instinct will force it to rejoin the swarm. But then Inujin chimes in with a logical question: why are we planning to fight in Konoha? Aren't we just putting everyone in danger? And the answer is Jura. Jura isn't like Mamushi or the other Shinju clones who act purely on instinct. He has developed preferences, curiosity, and even a strange sense of morality. His target is Boruto and Himawari, and no matter where they run, he will follow them. Which means if Boruto leaves Konoha, Jura will track him and every village in his path will burn. But if the battle happens inside it, Jura won't destroy the village. Why? Because he's grown attached to it. He's fascinated by human life, by the books he's binge reading, by the sweets, the culture of Japan, and all the emotions that he's never supposed to have. He wanders through Konoha the way an alien might explore Earth for the first time, not as a conqueror, but as a student. It's basically the same character development we saw with Miriam in Hunter x Hunter. So Mamushi will always fear his leader and not cause destruction to the village. And that's when another bombshell is dropped. Koji decides to teach Inujin a brand new jutsu that is going to be pivotal in battle. The technique he wants Inujin to learn is his very own one from the future. This is from a timeline where Naruto's daughter Himawari, she actually dies, and Inujin completely loses his shit seeking vengeance. It's a jutsu that's backwards compatible with mind transfer. And my first thought was to say that Inujin will learn his grandfather's mind destruction technique and use it to make Mamushi's clone tear each other apart. Remember that it's an actual real Yamanaka clan ability where you just pump chakra into the enemy's nervous system and make them attack allies. Now, unlike mind transfer, your own mind stays in your body, so it's safer and built for outnumbered scenarios. Exactly the kind of tool you'd want against a horde of clones. Now, the other idea is Inujin doing mind transfer through his art so he can control his creatures. He's shown combining his genetics, like extending his reach by pairing sensory with his ink summons, as we saw in Boruto episode 177, I believe. So it's proven already that he can use Yamanaka style techniques through his art to increase utility. Now, regardless, hearing the possibility of Himawari dying, Inujin says he will master the power in one day. And meanwhile, in Konoha, tension is climbing. Shikamaru now sits as Hokage, but make no mistake, this dude is exhausted. He's running a village that believes a lie, and he's forced to keep that lie alive just to prevent civil war. Even while publicly denouncing Boruto, he is secretly helping him, because Shikamaru knows the real threat is the monsters evolving outside the village walls. This secrecy puts Konohamaru into the interrogation table. With Boruto escaping, Anbu and the inner intelligence figured out that there must be a mole within the village. Konohamaru is the #1 suspect. But the thing is, bro, the manga just keeps roasting this dude, so that's why we call him Trashimaru. The guy thinks, nah, this guy is way too stupid to actually be a mole. So now he's got that label as well. This guy cannot catch a break. The daimyo concludes he doesn't have the nature of a mole, and the person who aided in Boruto's escape must be someone else. Shikamaru then does a Discord call with my guy, telepathically revealing that he was responsible for letting Boruto escape. And after Konohamaru's interaction with the dude, he should already know why. During Jura's assault, if it wasn't for Boruto, this dude would be dead. Konohamaru would be finished. He didn't even get that pom pom, and he's weak as hell. He would have been devoured. So even if things don't make sense right now, it's clear to Trashimaru that Boruto isn't a bad guy. So in the midst of all of this, Shikamaru invites him to their secret roundtable so they can work together against the real threat. And then we get Amado. He's peeping in on Jura's live stream. He confirms to Kawaki that this divine tree that Jura is cultivating not only can heal their injuries, but is also working as a powerful weapon and an impenetrable shield, which makes Jura essentially immortal. Kawaki believes he can still beat Jura. All he needs is some extra juice. And speaking of which, why not try Gamer Subs, the energy drink that keeps your power levels maxed out. I've been using Gamer Subs while scripting these Boruto breakdowns at 3 AM, and I swear this stuff hits harder than a Rasengan to the face. How the hell do you think I'm so hyper and active in these videos while I'm recording them? It actually tastes real good and you won't regret it. Grab your tub using the link below and use code ABD for 10% off, as it would support the channel. Anyway, Kawaki pushes Amado to make him stronger, but the moment Amado tries to warn him that it would disintegrate his body, Kawaki crashes out and threatens to destroy his throat. Now, if Amado wants Kawaki's help to bring his daughter back, then he doesn't really have much of a choice. Kawaki doesn't care if his body will explode if he's able to kill Jura. He tells Amado to place his bets on him if he wants to see the daughter again. Now, this is clearly a foreshadowing of how Kawaki's story will end, because my man has been saying that he's gonna off himself since the very beginning of his introduction. I think Kawaki's own death legs is himself saying, I'm gonna die by the end of this story. I think he said it 3 separate times already. Now, what this guy is doing, he's basically trying to build peace with the hands of a tyrant. And what makes all of this poetic is how Kawaki's obsession mirrors the very monsters that he's trying to destroy, the Sasuke. But on the other hand, he isn't the only one looking for an upgrade. Boruto pays a surprise visit to Sumire and hands over his sword. Using Sasuke's technique of coating the sword with chakra, the blade is impervious to getting damaged or becoming dull. However, during the battle against Jura, because my man is built different and he's so powerful, Boruto had let his guard down, which resulted in the blade getting chipped. So Sumire is tasked to fix it by the end of the week. And with Koji having access to every future technology, the sword will become even more busted. Boruto hands over a scroll containing the perfected and completed version of the research that they were doing in the past. Now, if you guys have forgotten, we are talking about lightsabers. Remember back in chapter 18, we see Katasuke hand Boruto a lightsaber that uses one's own chakra. But at the time, the research was not complete as it would deplete the chakra of the user way too fast. However, in chapter 21, we discovered the power of the chakra blade being impeccable, meaning just like a lightsaber, it can slice and kill anything instantly, no matter the substance, strength, or durability of the enemy. This was perfectly showcased later in chapter 22, with Boruto slicing and dicing Owl with the chakra blade as if he was butter. Now, as a result, Jura's middle finger that he loves using is gonna be ripped off like nothing. He won't be able to defend himself against Boruto's new Kenjutsu as easily anymore. Because now, with this upgrade, Sasuke's blade is going to be unbreakable. Now, Sumire, just like Inujin, she's given a literal cheat sheet allowing to skip all the trial and errors, reaching the result they need. But as she takes up Boruto's request, she decides to play her cards and tells him to no longer call her class press, but instead call her by name, Sumire, bitch. And this is basically her first step in getting past the friend zone. But of course, Mamushi pulled up by the end of the chapter. Like, my guy has Guna energy and is off the charts. The second he steps foot in Konoha, he's already drooling thinking about Eida. So it's about to go down, with everyone revealing their new powers in the next story. But to enjoy more peak fiction, watch this video about Death Note on whether or not Light Yagami became a Shinigami. It's on your screen right now.